Close your eyes and imagine you're stranded in the heart of the Jordanian desert. The sun scorching your skin, ancient red cliffs looming like silent judges. It's 1938, and you're on a tour with a group of strangers, each one hiding a secret. That could kill. Suddenly, a chilling cry cuts through the heat. A woman lies dead, a sinister smile frozen on her face. And you realize the murderer is standing right next to you, pretending to grieve. Who can you turn to when trust is a luxury you can't afford? Enter Hercule Poirot, the brilliant Belgian detective with a moustache as sharp as his mind, ready to unravel a deadly plot that threatens to bury the truth in the sands of Petra. Welcome to Poirot's last stand against a ruthless killer in appointment with death. A mystery so gripping it'll hook you from the first clue. So, hit that like button, grab a snack, and let's dive into a desert adventure full of suspense and secrets. The desert sun blazes over Petra's rose-red cliffs, turning the ancient city into a furnace of heat and mystery in 1938. Hercule Poirot, the world-famous detective with his perfectly twirled mustache and spotless linen suit, steps carefully through the sandy paths, wishing for the cool shade of a London cafe. He's here on a rare holiday, invited by Colonel Carberry, a cheerful British officer who thought Poirot might enjoy the archaeological wonders. But Poirot's sharp eyes, hidden behind his polite smile, catch something else. A group of travelers buzzing with tension, their faces hiding secrets as deep as the canyons around them. Mon ami, Poirot murmurs to Carberry as they walk. This is no holiday. Where there are people, there is trouble, and I smell trouble here. Carberry chuckles, but his eyes agrees. Something's wrong with this group. The travelers are a strange bunch, gathered for an archaeological tour. There's Mrs. Boynton, a cold, heavy-set American woman who rules her family like a dictator. Her stepchildren, Lennox, Raymond, and Carol, look beaten down, their eyes darting nervously when she speaks. Nadine, Lennox's wife, keeps her head high but stays clear of Mrs. Boynton's sharp tongue. Ginevra, the youngest, drifts through the group like a ghost, her dreamy words and odd smiles unsettling everyone. Then there's Sarah King, a young doctor with a bold spirit, Jefferson Cope, a friendly American lawyer, and Dr. Theodore Gerard, a French psychologist who studies the group like they're his experiment. Over dinner in the desert camp, Poirot watches Mrs. Boynton snap orders, her voice like a whip, making her family flinch. A most unpleasant woman, he thinks, sipping his soup, and unpleasant people make enemies. The next day, the group explores Petra's narrow, sick canyon, the cliffs towering like walls of secrets. Poirot, sweating but neat as ever, listens to their chatter. Sarah talks about medicine, her eyes lingering on Raymond, who looks torn between fear and hope. Lennox trudges silently, Nadine walking apart, her face tight with worry. Carol sketches the ruins, her pencil shaking, while Ginevra hums a creepy tune, muttering about shadows in the stone. Dr. Gerard scribbles in his notebook, and Cope tries to cheer everyone up, but his jokes fall flat. Poirot's little grey cells, the brain power he trusts, start tingling. Something is brewing, he whispers to himself, something dark. That afternoon, the group rests under a shady cliff, fanning themselves in the heat. Suddenly, a scream echoes through the canyon, sharp and terrifying. Poirot hurries over, his heart racing, and finds Mrs. Boynton slumped in her camp chair, her face pale, her eyes wide open but lifeless. Sarah King, the doctor, kneels beside her, feeling for a pulse. "She's dead," Sarah says, her voice steady but her hands trembling. Colonel Carberry pushes through, his face grim. "Poirot, look at her wrist, there's a mark." Poirot bends down, his gloved fingers finding a tiny puncture, like a needle's prick. "Murder," he says softly, his voice like a blade. The group gathers, some shocked, some oddly calm, their eyes flicking with fear or relief. Poirot takes charge, his small figure commanding the scene. "No one leaves," he says, his accent crisp. "We have a killer among us." He asks, "Where?" "Everyone was when Mrs. Boynton died." Lennox says he was reading nearby. Nadine was fetching water. Raymond and Sarah were exploring the ruins. Carol was sketching. Ginevra was wandering. Cope was writing letters, and Dr. Gerard was studying plants. Everyone claims they saw nothing, but Poirot spots Liza Nadine's quick glance away, Raymond's sweaty hands, Ginevra's strange giggle. Then he sees it. A syringe, half buried in the sand near the chair, its needle gleaming. "Poison," Poirot says to Carberry, pocketing it. "We must test this in Ammon, but the killer is here, watching us." As the sun sets, casting long shadows over the camp, Poirot stands by the fire, his mind racing. Mrs. Boynton was hated her family, lived like prisoners, and the outsiders had their own reasons to dislike her. But who was bold enough to kill her in broad daylight? A clever murderer, Poirot tells Carberry, but they made a mistake with that syringe. The desert feels alive with secrets, and Poirot knows the killer is nervous, waiting for a chance to escape. He vows to trap them before they strike. The desert night cloaks Petra in a chilly darkness, the campfire's flickering light dancing across the tense faces of the tour group, each one a suspect in Mrs. Boynton's shocking murder. Hercule Poirot stands near the tent where her body lies, covered by a sheet, the syringe he found glinting in his pocket like a silent accusation. The tiny puncture mark on her wrist screams poison. And Poirot's famous little grey cells, the brain power he trusts her, buzzing like bees in a hive. Colonel Carberry, his face lined with worry under the starlit sky, paces beside him, his boots crunching on the sand. "Poirot, this group is a mess of nerves," he says, glancing at the travellers huddled by the fire. Mrs. Boynton was a monster, but who had the guts to kill her? Poirot adjusts his moustache, his sharp eyes missing nothing. "Mon ami," he replies, his voice smooth as silk. "Hate is a spark, but fear is the fuel. We must dig into their secrets to find the flame that lit this crime." The desert is quiet, but the air hums with danger, and Poirot is ready to uncover the truth. The group is a puzzle of personalities, and Poirot watches them closely as they sit around the fire, their shadows long and jittery. Lennox Boynton, the eldest stepson, slumps with his head in his hands, looking like a man crushed by years of control. His wife, Nadine, avoids his eyes, her face tight with something unspoken. Raymond, the younger son, clenches his fists, stealing glances at Sarah King, the bold young doctor, who seems shaken but holds her head high. Carol, the daughter, grips her sketchbook like a lifeline, her pencil scratching nervously. Ginevra, the youngest, hums a creepy tune, her dreamy smile sending chills down Poirot's spine. Jefferson Cope, the American lawyer, tries to keep things light, but his jokes feel forced. Dr. Theodore Gerard, the French psychologist, scribbles in his notebook, his calm eyes watching everyone like they're pieces on a chessboard. Poirot knows Mrs. Boynton's cruel grip over her family made her a target, but the outsiders, Sarah Cope, and Gerard might have their own dark reasons for wanting her gone. Poirot starts his investigation with soft questions, gathering the group by the campfire's glow. "Mies Amos," he says, his voice calm but firm, like a teacher addressing a class. "We must understand what happened to Madame Boynton. Did anyone see her in the hour before that terrible scream?" Lennox mutters he was reading nearby, his eyes on his book, not her. Nadine says she was fetching water from a spring down the path, her voice flat and hard to read. Raymond and Sarah claimed they were exploring the ruins together, coming back just before the cry. Carol was sketching the cliffs, her hands busy with charcoal. Ginevra mumbles about wandering the canyon, lost in her strange thoughts. Cope was writing letters in his tent, and Dr. Gerard was studying desert flowers, his notebook full of sketches. Poirot listens, his eyes catching every twitch and nervous glance from Nadine. A tremor in Raymond's hand, a flicker of fear in Carol's face. Their alibis are too neat, like a script they've rehearsed. He digs deeper, asking about Mrs. Boynton herself. "She was formidable, Nan," Poirot says, watching their faces like a hawk. Lennox's voice is low, almost a growl. "She was cruel, controlled our every move." Nadine nods, her lips tight, saying nothing but radiating anger. Raymond's eyes flash. "She made us feel like nothing," he says, his voice shaking. Carol whispers, "She owned us our money, our lives." Ginevra giggles, her voice eerie. "She was a wicked queen, but queens fall, don't they?" Sarah speaks up, her tone sharp. "She bullied them all. It was awful to see." Cope agrees, his voice soft. "She wasn't kind, but murder. That's extreme." Dr. Tone is cool, like he's giving a lecture. "She enjoyed their pain. A fascinating case, psychologically." Poirot notes the hate pouring from the family, but the outsider's calm words feel like a mask hiding something darker. Poirot slips away to the crime scene, where Mrs. Boynton's chair sits like a throne of death under the cliff's shade. He kneels, his flashlight sweeping the sand, and spots a clue, a small, delicate footprint, half wiped away by the wind, too small for a man's shoe. "Very interesting," he murmurs, sketching it in his little notebook. Nearby, he finds a scrap of paper, torn and slightly burned, with the word control scrawled in shaky handwriting. "A hint of motive," he tells Carberry, tucking it away. He sniffs the air near the chair, catching a faint chemical smell, sharp and bitter, matching the syringe's poison. "Digitoxin, perhaps," he says, "a heart drug, deadly if misused. We must send the syringe to Ammon for testing." The footprint and paper add to the syringe's mystery, pointing to a killer who planned carefully but left traces. Back at the camp, Poirot pulls Carberry aside, his voice low. "We must keep them here, Colonel. The killer is nervous, and nervous. People make mistakes." Carberry nods, posting a guard to watch the tents, but Poirot knows the real work is in his mind, piecing together the clues. Mrs. Boynton's tyranny over her family, controlling their money. Their choices, their lives, makes them prime suspects, but the outsider's motives are less clear. Could Sarah, with her doctor's knowledge, have used the syringe? Did Cope, the lawyer, hide a grudge behind his smiles? Or is Dr. Gerard, with his cold curiosity, playing a darker game? The footprint suggests a woman, but the paper's handwriting could belong to anyone. As the fire dies down, Poirot stands alone, the desert stars bright above. He spreads his notes, listing the clues, the syringe, the footprint, the scrap of paper with control. "This is a crime of deep hate," he murmurs, "but also of clever planning." The killer thought they could outsmart him, but Poirot's little grey cells are sharper than any desert wind. Who's hiding the truth, and what pushed them to? Murder. The camp feels like a trap, with every glance a clue, every whisper a lead. Poirot knows the killer is watching, waiting for a chance to cover their tracks. But he's ready to strike first. We're deep in this desert mystery now, with Poirot sniffing out secrets in the sand. Who hated Mrs. Boynton? The morning sun rises over Petra's rose-red cliffs, painting the desert in fiery hues, but the camp remains a cauldron of suspicion. The travellers' faces etched with fear and secrets. Hercule Poirot, his linen suit pristine despite the heat, sips a cup of bitter coffee, his sharp grey eyes scanning the group as they gather for breakfast. The murder of Mrs. Boynton, with that chilling puncture mark and the syringe found in the sand, has left everyone on edge, knowing a killer sits among them. Colonel Carberry, his military posture stiff, joins Poirot near the tents, his voice low. "Poirot, the police in Armon are waiting for that syringe's analysis, but it'll take a day or two. We need answers now." Poirot's mustache twitches, a sign his little grey cells are in overdrive. "Mon ami," he says, his accent crisp, "the answers lie in the past. Mrs. Boynton's tyranny over her family is the key to this crime. Today we uncover the shadows she cast. The clues, the syringe, the delicate footprint, the scrap of paper with control, point to a deep motive, and Poirot is ready to dig into the Boynton family's history to find it." Poirot starts by observing the group as they eat, their silence louder than words. Lennox Boynton, the eldest stepson, picks at his food, his shoulders hunched like a man carrying a mountain. Nadine, his wife, sits apart, her eyes avoiding his, her hands twisting. A napkin. Raymond, the younger son, keeps stealing glances at Sarah King, the bold young doctor, whose calm exterior hides a flicker of worry. Carol, the daughter, clutches her sketchbook, her fingers smudged with charcoal, while Ginevra, the youngest, hums her eerie tune, her dreamy gaze drifting to the cliffs. Jefferson Cope, the American lawyer, tries to make small talk, but his voice is strained. Dr. Theodore Gerard, the French psychologist, scribbles in his notebook, his cool eyes studying everyone like lab specimens. Poirot knows Mrs. Boynton's cruel control over money, choices, lives made her a target. But the outsider's motives are murkier, and he's determined to unravel both. He begins with Lennox, pulling him aside to a quiet spot under a palm tree. "Monsieur Lennox," Poirot says gently, his voice like a soothing balm, "tell me about your stepmother. What hold did she have over you?" Lennox's face darkens, his voice low and bitter. "She owned us, Mr. Poirot, after father died. She got his fortune millions and used it to keep us in line. If we disobeyed, she'd cut us off." He describes years of humiliation, forced to beg for every penny, every decision dictated by her whim. "She loved watching us squirm," he says, his hands trembling. Poirot notes the raw anger in his eyes, but also a deep exhaustion. Could it have driven him to murder? "And Nadine," Poirot asks, "did she suffer too?" Lennox hesitates, then nods. "She hated mother, but she stayed for me." Poirot senses a crack in their marriage, a motive lurking beneath. Next, Poirot approaches Nadine, who's washing dishes by the camp's water barrel, her movements sharp and tense. "Madame," he says, offering a polite smile, "your husband speaks of Mrs. Boynton's cruelty. Did it push you to act?" Nadine's hands freeze, her eyes flashing. I despised her, she admits, but I didn't kill her. I wanted to leave, but Lennox wouldn't go. Her voice cracks, revealing a woman trapped by loyalty and fear. Poirot notices her small feet. Could they match the footprint? Her hands, rough from work, could have held the syringe, but her honesty feels genuine. Still, her desperation to escape Mrs. Boynton's shadow makes her a suspect, and Poirot files it away. He moves to Raymond, finding him near the ruins, staring at the cliffs. Monsieur Raymond, Poirot says, your stepmother controlled your life. Did you seek freedom? Raymond's face flushes, his voice shaky. She made us feel worthless. I wanted out, especially for Sarah. His feelings for the young doctor are clear, and Poirot wonders if love pushed him to murder. Did you see anything that day? Poirot presses. Raymond claims he was with Sarah, exploring, but his nervous glance suggests he's hiding something. Sarah, joining them, defends him. We were together, she says firmly, her eyes fierce. Mrs. Boynton was a bully, but I didn't kill her. Poirot notes their tight alibi, but Sarah's medical knowledge and access to drugs, like digitoxin makes her a puzzle piece he can't ignore. Carol is next, sitting alone with her sketchbook, her drawings dark and jagged. Mademoiselle Poirot says, sitting beside her, your mother's control hurt you deeply, Nan. Carol's eyes fill with tears. She'll never let us live. Everything was for her, her money, her rules. Her voice is soft but bitter, and Poirot sees the scrap of paper's word, control, reflected in her pain. Did you sketch near her that day? He asks. Carol nods, saying she was focused on the cliffs, but her trembling hands suggest fear. Her small frame could match the footprint, and Poirot wonders if her quiet rage turned deadly. Ginevra, wandering nearby, overhears and giggles. Mother was a chain, she says, her voice sings song. But chains break, don't they? Her odd words chill Poirot, and he questions her mental state. She mad or hiding a clever act? Poirot shifts to the outsiders, starting with Jefferson. Cope, whose cheerful smile feels forced under scrutiny. Monsieur Cope, Poirot says, meeting him by the camp's edge, you knew Mrs. Boynton before this trip, yes? Cope stammers, admitting he handled legal papers for her late husband. Years ago, she was difficult, he says, but I had no reason to hurt her. Poirot presses, asking about the family's fortune. Cope reveals Mrs. Boynton controlled millions, using it to dominate her stepchildren. Did you resent her power? Poirot asks. Cope shakes his head, but his nervous twitch betrays him. Poirot wonders if money or something personal drove him to act. Dr. Theodore Gerard is next, his calm demeanor like a still lake hiding depths. Dr. Poirot says, finding him sketching plants, you studied Mrs. Boynton's behavior. Did it fascinate you enough to act? Gerard smiles, his voice cool. She was a case study in control, but I'm an observer, not a killer. He admits knowing digitoxin from his studies, but denies access to it. Poirot notes his precise handwriting. Could it match the control note? Sarah King, the last outsider, is fiery when questioned. I hated how she treated them, she says, her eyes blazing. But I'm a doctor, I save lives, not take them. Her access to medical supplies keeps her on Poirot's list, especially with the syringe in play. Poirot returns to the crime scene, the cliff's shade now a grim reminder of death. He kneels, his flashlight sweeping the sand, and finds a new clue, a single pearl button, caught in a thorny bush near the chair. "Curio," he murmurs, holding it up. "It's delicate, likely from a woman's blouse," pointing to Nadine, Carol, Sarah, or even Ginevra. He also notices a faint scratch on the chair's arm, suggesting a struggle or a hurried act. The chemical smell lingers, confirming the poison's presence, and Poirot suspects digitoxin, a heart drug turned deadly. "We need the analysis from Ammon," he tells Carberry, but the button and footprint narrow our suspects. The scrap of papers. The desert sun climbs high over Petra's towering cliffs, its heat pressing down on the camp like a heavy hand. But the real pressure is in the air, suspicion and fear choking the travelers as Hercule Poirot's investigation tightens its grip. The murder of Mrs. Boynton, marked by that sinister puncture on her wrist and the syringe found in the sand, has left the group jumpy, their eyes darting like cornered animals. Poirot, his linen suit still spotless despite the dust, sips a lukewarm tea, his sharp grey eyes scanning the breakfast table where the suspects sit in uneasy silence. Colonel Carberry, his face etched with worry, leans close, his voice a hushed growl. "Poirot, that telegram from Ammon says the syringe had digitoxin, a heart drug, deadly in high doses. We're close, but who did it?" Poirot's mustache twitches, a spark of excitement in his gaze. "Mon ami, the killer is clever, but their lies are crumbling. Today, we follow the trail of their deception. Mrs. Boynton's past holds the key. His little grey cells hum with the clues, the syringe, the delicate footprint, the scrap of paper with control, and now the pearl button. Each a piece in this deadly puzzle. The group is a tangle of nerves as they eat, their spoons clinking too loudly in the quiet. Lennox Boynton, the eldest stepson, stares at his plate, his face pale and drawn, like a man haunted by ghosts. Nadine, his wife, sits stiffly, her eyes avoiding his, her fingers twisting a bracelet. Raymond, the younger son, keeps close to Sarah King, the bold doctor, their whispered words hinting at secrets. Carol, the daughter, clutches her sketchbook, her charcoal-stained fingers trembling, while Ginevra, the youngest, hums her eerie tune, her dreamy smile unsettling everyone. Jefferson Cope, the American lawyer, tries to lighten the mood with a forced laugh, but it dies quickly. Dr. Theodore Gerard, the psychologist, scribbles in his notebook, his calm eyes watching like a predator. Poirot knows Mrs. Boynton's cruel rain-cant, trolling her family's money and lives made her a target. But the outsider's motives are shadowy, and he's determined to shine a light on them. Poirot starts by pulling Nadine aside, finding her near the camp's water barrel, her hands busy scrubbing dishes. "Madame," he says, his voice gentle but firm, "your blouse is missing a pearl button, and one was found where Mrs. Boynton died. Can you explain?" Nadine's hands freeze, her face pulling. "It tore off near the spring," she says, her voice shaky. "I didn't go near her chair." Poirot notes her small feet matching the footprint, her nervous glance, and the digitoxin he presses. "You take heart medication, Nan." Nadine admits she uses a similar drug, but swears her vial is in her tent. "Someone could have taken it," she says, her eyes wide with fear. Poirot senses truth in her panic, but her proximity to the crime scene keeps her on his list. Could she have snapped under Mrs. Boynton's tyranny? Next, he approaches Sarah King, who's checking medical supplies in her tent. "Mademoiselle," Poirot says, "as a doctor, you know digitoxin. Did you use it to free Raymond from his stepmother?" Sarah's eyes flash with anger. "I hated her cruelty, but I'm no killer," she snaps. I was with Raymond in the ruins when she died. Her alibi is tight, but Poirot notices her medical bag, which could hold a syringe. You care for Raymond, he says. Would you act to save him? Sarah's face softens. I'd do anything for him, but not murder. Her passion is convincing, but her access to drugs makes her a suspect, and Poirot wonders if love pushed her too far. Raymond is next, found pacing near the canyon's edge, his face tense. Monsieur Raymond, Poirot says, your stepmother's control hurt you deeply. Did you seek freedom? Raymond's fists clench. She made our lives hell, he admits, his voice raw. But I was with Sarai, didn't do it. His eyes flick to Sarah's tent, and Poirot senses he's protecting her or himself. You saw nothing near her chair, Poirot asks. Raymond shakes his head, but his sweaty palms betray him. Poirot files it away, suspecting Raymond's love for Sarah could be a motive, especially with their shared alibi feeling rehearsed. Carol, sitting alone with her sketchbook, is quieter, her drawings dark and chaotic. Mademoiselle Carol, Poirot says, sitting beside her, your mother's control left scars. Did you fight back? Carol's eyes well up. She owned us our money, our dreams, she whispers. I hated her, but I didn't kill her. Her small frame matches the footprint, and Poirot asks about her sketching. I was near the cliffs, she says, not by her chair. Her trembling voice suggests fear, not guilt, but Poirot wonders if her rage boiled over. Ginevra, wandering nearby, overhears and giggles. Mother was a cage, she says, her voice eerie. But cages break, don't they? Poirot studies her, unsure if her madness hides innocence or cunning. Poirot turns to the outsiders, starting with Jefferson Cope, whose cheerful mask is slipping. Monsieur Cope, Poirot says, finding him writing letters. You knew Mrs. Boynton's wealth. Did it tempt you? Cope stammers, admitting he handled her husband's estate years ago. She was rich, sure, he says, but I had no reason to kill her. Poirot notices his nervous twitch, asking, you admired Carol Nan. Did Mrs. Boynton stand in your way? Cope blushes, denying it, but his unease suggests a hidden motive, money or love. Dr. Gerard, found sketching. Plants is cooler. Dr. Poirot says, your knowledge of digitoxin is troubling. Did you experiment with her life? Gerard smiles faintly. I study minds, not murder, he says, but his calm feels like a shield, and Poirot notes his precise handwriting. Similar to the control note, Poirot revisits the crime scene, the cliff's shade now a grim reminder of death. He kneels, his flashlight sweeping the sand, and finds a new clue, a tiny vial. Empty, but smelling of bitter almonds, hidden in a rock crevice. Digitoxin, he murmurs, pocketing it. The vial's size suggests it was easily concealed, perhaps by a woman. He compares the footprint again, confirming it could be Nadine's, Sarah's, or Carol's. The pearl button, he realizes, matches Nadine's blouse exactly, but her story about the spring holds for now. The scrap of paper's word control echoes Mrs. Boynton's past as a prison matron. A detailed Carberry's telegram uncovered. Poirot digs deeper, learning from a second telegram that she was dismissed for cruelty, her methods breaking inmates' spirits. She carried that cruelty here, Poirot tells Carberry, and it sparked murder. To shake the suspects, Poirot gathers them at noon, the sun blazing overhead. Mise Amos, he says, holding up the vial. This held the poison that killed Mrs. Boynton. The killer is among us, and their lies are fraying. Nadine gasps, touching her blouse, while Sarah's eyes narrow. Raymond clenches his fists, and Carol's pencil snaps in her hand. Ginevra hums louder, her smile creepy, while Cope shifts nervously, and Gerard's pen pauses. The desert sun beats down on Petra's red cliffs, turning the camp into a pressure cooker of fear and suspicion as the fourth day dawns. Hercule Poirot, his linen suit still crisped despite the stifling heat, stands by his tent, clutching the clues that haunt his little grey cells. The syringe, the delicate footprint, the scrap of paper with control, the pearl button, and the tiny vial smelling of bitter almonds. The murder of Mrs. Boynton, poisoned with digitoxin, has the travellers on edge, their eyes darting nervously as they gather for breakfast. Colonel Carberry, his face lined with tension, joins Poirot, his voice low. The police from Ammon arrive. Tomorrow, Poirot, with a chemist to confirm that we need to catch this killer fast. Poirot's moustache twitches, his eyes gleaming with purpose. Mon ami, the killer, is nervous, and nervous people make mistakes. Today, we set a trap to force their hand. His little grey cells are buzzing, ready to outsmart a murderer who thought they could hide in Petra's shadows. The group is a mess of frayed nerves, their breakfast plates barely touched. Lennox Boynton, the eldest stepson, sits hunched, his eyes hollow, like a man crushed by years of control. Nadine, his wife, avoids his gaze, her fingers fidgeting with her bracelet, her face pale after Poirot's questions about her missing. Button, Raymond, the younger son, sticks close to Sarah King, the bold doctor, their whispered words hinting at a shared secret. Carol, the daughter, grips her sketchbook, her charcoal drawings darker than ever, while Ginevra, the youngest, hums. Her creepy tune, her dreamy smile chilling the air. Jefferson Cope, the American lawyer, tries to crack a joke, but it falls flat. His smile forced. Dr. Theodore Gerard, the psychologist, scribbles in his notebook, his calm eyes watching like a hawk. Poirot knows Mrs. Boynton's cruel grip ruling. Her family with money and fear made her a prime target, but the outsider's motives are murky, and he's ready to shake them up. Poirot begins by gathering the group in the main tent, the air thick with tension. "Mies Amos," he says, his voice steady but sharp. "The vial I found held digitoxin, the poison that killed Mrs. Boynton, the button, the footprint. These belong to the killer or someone close." He holds up the pearl button, watching Nadine flinch, and the vial, noting Sarah's narrowed eyes. "The police will search your tents tomorrow," he announces, a calculated half-truth. "If you have secrets, they will be found." The group shifts uneasily Lennox's hands. Tremble, Raymond clenches his fists, Carol's pencil snaps, and Ginevra giggles softly. Cope's smile fades, and Gerard's pen pauses. Poirot's bluff is designed to rattle the killer, pushing them to act and reveal themselves. He starts with Sarah King, pulling her aside near the ruins. "Mademoiselle," Poirot says, his tone gentle but probing, "your medical bag could hold a syringe, and you knew digitoxin's power. Did you act for Raymond?" Sarah's face flushes with anger. "I'm a doctor, not a murderer," she snaps. "I was with Raymond when she died. We saw nothing." Her passion is fierce, but Poirot notices her medical case nearby, its contents unchecked. "Love is a strong motive," he says. "Would you kill to free him?" Sarah's eyes blaze. "I'd protect him, but not like that." Her alibi with Raymond is tight, but Poirot wonders if they're covering for each other. He leaves her, sensing truth, but not the whole truth. Next, Poirot finds Nadine by the spring, her face drawn. "Madame," he says, "your button was at the scene, and your medication matches the poison. Did you end Mrs. Boynton's control?" Nadine's hands shake. "I told you, my button tore off here, not there," she says, pointing to the spring. "And my vial is full. Lie didn't use it." Poirot shows her the empty vial, watching her eyes widen. "Someone could have stolen it," she says, her voice cracking. "I hated her, but I didn't kill her." Her small feet match the footprint, and her desperation to free Lennox is clear. But Poirot senses she's holding something back, perhaps protecting someone else. Raymond is next, pacing near the cliffs, his face tense. "Monsieur Raymond," Poirot says, "your stepmother's tyranny hurt you deeply. Did you and Sarah act together?" Raymond's voice is raw. "She made our lives hell, but I didn't touch her. I was with Sarah in the ruins." His hands sweat, and Poirot presses. "You saw nothing near her chair." Raymond shakes his head, but his eyes flicker with fear. Poirot wonders if his love for Sarah war, fear of losing her pushed him to act. Carol, found sketching alone, is quieter. Mademoiselle Poirot says, "Your drawings show anger. Did you strike back?" Carol's eyes well up. "She stole our lives," she whispers, "but I was sketching, not killing." Her small frame fits the footprint, and her rage is palpable, but her fear seems genuine. Ginevra, wandering the camp, is harder to read. Mademoiselle Poirot says, catching her humming by a tent, "What did you see when your mother died?" Ginevra giggles, her voice eerie. "The queen fell, and the shadows danced," she says, her eyes distant. "I wandered, but I saw nothing." Her madness unnerves Poirot, but he wonders if it's a clever act. He shifts to Jefferson Cope, whose nervous smile cracks under questioning. "Monsieur Poirot says, you admired Carol. Did Mrs. Boynton block your hopes?" Cope stammers, admitting he cared for Carol, but denying murder. "I wrote letters, that's all," he says, his twitch betraying him. Poirot notes his access to the family's secrets, wondering if greed or love drove him. Dr. Gerard found, studying plants, is cool as ever. Dr. Poirot says, "Your knowledge of digitoxin is precise, and your handwriting matches the control note. Did you act?" Gerard's smile is faint. "I observe, not kill," he says. "My notes are science, not crime." His calm is almost too perfect, and Poirot suspects he's hiding behind his intellect. Poirot decides to tighten the trap. Announcing at lunch, the police will arrive with a handwriting expert. The control note will reveal the killer. It's another bluff, but the group's reactions are telling. Nadine gasps. Sarah's eyes narrow. Raymond clenches his fists, and Gerard's pen pauses again. Ginevra hums louder, and Cope drops his fork. That afternoon, Poirot and Carberry search the tents again, finding a new clue in Sarah's Bagger notebook with a page torn out, its edges matching the control scrap. "Interesting," Poirot murmurs, but the handwriting isn't a perfect match. In Nadine's tent, he finds a half-empty vial of digitoxin hidden in a shoe. She lied, he tells Carberry, but Nadine's earlier vial was full. Could there be two? Carol's sketchbook has a new drawing, a figure with a syringe, chillingly detailed. Ginevra's tent holds a poem about breaking the queen, her. Words too close to the crime. Cope's letters to Carol mention freedom, echoing the note, while Gerard's notebook has a diagram of digitoxin's effects, almost too precise. Poirot sets his trap that evening, placing a decoy vial near. The crime scene, watched by Carberry's guard. As night falls, a figure creeps out Raymond, reaching for the vial. Poirot steps from the shadows. "Monsieur, why touch it?" Raymond freezes, his voice shaking. "I thought it was Sarah's eye." The fifth day dawns over Petra with a scorching sun, its rays glinting off the rose-red cliffs, but the camp is shrouded in a chill of fear. The traveller's nerves frayed as Hercule Poirot's investigation tightens like a noose. Poirot, his linen suit as crisp as ever, stands by the campfire's ashes, clutching the growing pile of clues. The syringe, the delicate footprint, the scrap of paper with control, the pearl button, the empty vial, and now a torn page in Sarah King's handwriting found in Raymond's tent. The murder of Mrs. Boynton, poisoned with digitoxin, has turned the camp into a battlefield of suspicion, and Poirot's trap-catching, Raymond reaching for a decoy, vial has rattled the killer. Colonel Carberry, his face tense, joins Poirot, his voice urgent. "That trick with the vial was clever, Poirot, but Raymond's protecting someone. Who's the real killer?" Poirot's mustache twitches, his grey eyes gleaming. "Mon ami, the killer stumbled last night, and today their misstep will betray them. The little grey cells are closing in. The desert hums with secrets, and Poirot is ready to force the murderer's hand." The group gathers for breakfast, their faces pale, their eyes avoiding each other like guilty children. Lennox Boynton, the eldest stepson, slumps over his coffee, his hands trembling, haunted by years under his stepmother's thumb. Nadine, his wife, sits apart, her fingers twisting her bracelet, her face drawn after Poirot's questions about her button and digitoxin vial. Raymond, the younger son, clings to Sarah King, the bold doctor. Their whispered words tense after Raymond's attempt to grab the decoy vial. Carol, the daughter, grips her sketchbook, her charcoal drawings jagged with fear, while Ginevra, the youngest, hums her eerie tune, her dreamy smile unsettling the group. Jefferson Cope, the American lawyer, tries to ease the mood with a weak smile, but his eyes dart nervously. Dr. Theodore Gerard, the psychologist, scribbles in his notebook, his calm facade like a mask. Poirot knows Mrs. Boynton's tyranny. Her family's lives with money and fear made her a target. But the outsider's motives are shadowy, and Raymond's actions last night suggest a deeper plot. Poirot begins by confronting Raymond privately, finding him near the ruins, his face pale and sweaty. "Monsieur Raymond," Poirot says, his voice gentle but sharp, "you tried to take the decoy vial to protect Mademoiselle Sarah. Why?" Raymond's eyes widen, his voice cracking. "I thought it was hers. She's a doctor. They'd blame her." Poirot holds up the torn page with control in Sarah's handwriting. "This was in your tent. Did you write it, or did she?" Raymond stammers. "I found it. I didn't want her in trouble." His love for Sarah is clear, but Poirot wonders if he's shielding her or himself. "You were with her in the ruins," Poirot presses. "Did you see Mrs. Boynton?" Raymond shakes his head, but his trembling hands betray him. Poirot senses a half-truth, suspecting Raymond knows more than he's saying. Next, Poirot approaches Sarah, who's tending 2 medical supplies in her tent. "Mademoiselle," he says, "your handwriting matches the control note, and Raymond protects you fiercely. Did you act together?" Sarah's face flushes with anger. "I didn't kill her," she snaps. "That note, I wrote it about her control over Raymond, but I tore it up." Her eyes blaze, but Poirot notices her medical bag, still unchecked for syringes. As a doctor, You could access digitoxin, he says. Sarah's voice softens. I'd never hurt anyone, even her. Her passion feels genuine, but her torn page and medical knowledge keep her on Poirot's list. He wonders if her love for Raymond pushed her to act, or if Raymond's fear for her hides his own guilt. Poirot moves to Nadine, finding her by the spring, her face tight with worry. Madame, he says, your button, your footprint, your digitoxin vial or point. To you, did you end Mrs. Boynton's reign? Nadine's hands shake, her voice low. I told you, my button tore off here, and my vial was full. Someone's framing me. Poirot shows her the empty vial from the crime scene. This was hidden near her chair. Yours, Nadine gasps, shaking her head. I don't know how. It got there, I swear. Her small feet match the footprint, and her desperation to free Lennox is palpable. But Poirot senses she's hiding something, perhaps to protect her husband. He presses, did Lennox know of your plans? Nadine's eyes flicker. He hated her, but he's no killer. Poirot files away her fear, suspecting a shared motive. Carol, sitting alone with her sketchbook, is next. Mademoiselle, Poirot says, your drawings show rage against your stepmother. Did you act? Carol's eyes well up, her voice a whisper. She stole our lives, our money, our freedom. But I was sketching, not killing. Her small frame fits the footprint, and her sketchbook's violent images a figure stabbed with a needle. Chill Poirot. Did you see anyone near her chair? He asks. Carol shakes her head, her pencil snapping in her hand. Her fear feels real, but Poirot wonders if her quiet anger turned deadly. Ginevra, wandering nearby, overhears and giggles. The Queen's chains broke, she says, her eyes distant. I saw shadows moving. Poirot studies her, unsure if her cryptic words hide knowledge or madness. Poirot turns to Jefferson Cope, whose nervous smile falters under scrutiny. Monsieur Poirot says, finding him writing letters, you cared for Carol. Did Mrs. Boynton block your hopes? Cope stammers, admitting he admired Carol but denying murder. I just wanted her free, he says, his hands twitching. Poirot asks about his letters, noticing one mentions control in a similar script to the note. A coincidence, Cope insists, but Poirot senses a hidden grudge. Perhaps money or love drove him to act. Dr. Gerard, found sketching plants, is cooler. Dr. Poirot says, your handwriting is precise, like the control note, and you know digitoxin. Did you act? Gerard's smile is faint. I study behavior, not murder, he says, but his calm feels too perfect. And Poirot suspects a calculated mind to push the killer. Poirot stages a bold move at lunch, gathering the group under the main tent. Mies, Amos, he says, holding up the torn page and empty vial. The killer left these behind, and their handwriting will betray them. The police arrive tomorrow with experts. It's another bluff, but the group reacts. Sarah's jaw tightens. Nadine gasps. Raymond grips Sarah's hand. Carol's eyes widen. Ginevra hums louder. Cope drops his glass, and Gerard's pen pauses. Poirot announces a handwriting test, asking each to write control for comparison. He collects the samples, noting Sarah's matches closely, but Nadine's is similar, and Gerard's precision stands out. The test is inconclusive, but it rattles the group, and Poirot sees fear in their eyes. The killer is cornered. That afternoon, Poirot and Carberry search the tents again, finding a new clue in Raymond's bagger, small syringe case, empty but smelling of Curious, Poirot murmurs. showing it to Carberry. Raymond or Sarah? In Nadine's tent, they find a hidden letter, her written, begging Lennox to leave with her. She planned to escape, Poirot says, but the letter mentions nothing. Of murder, Carol's sketchbook has a new drawing a woman falling, a syringe nearby, chillingly vivid. Ginevra's tent holds a scribbled note, the shadows know. Cope's letters to Carol plead for her freedom, while Gerard's notebook details Mrs. Boynton's sadistic control, almost obsessive. Each clue deepens the mystery, but the killer's identity remains elusive. As evening falls, Poirot sets another trap, leaving a fake note. The 6th day in Petra dawns with a blazing sun, its rays scorching the rose-red cliffs, but the camp is frozen in a tense silence. The traveller's nerves stretched to the breaking point by Hercule Poirot's relentless pursuit of Mrs. Boynton's killer. Poirot, his linen suit immaculate despite the desert heat, stands near the main tent, clutching his growing web of clues. The syringe, the delicate footprint, the scrap of paper with control, the pearl button, the empty vial, the torn page. In Sarah's handwriting, the syringe case in Raymond's tent, and now a torn blouse matching Carol's. His trap-catching Carol, reaching for a fake note, has pushed the killer to the edge, and the air crackles with fear. Colonel Carberry, his face grim, joins Poirot, his voice low and urgent. "Your tricks are working," Poirot carols rattled, "and Raymond's protecting Sarah. But we need a confession before the police arrive tomorrow." Poirot's moustache twitches, his grey eyes sharp as knives. Mon ami, the killer, is at their breaking point. Today, we push them to confess with a revelation that will shake the camp. His little grey cells are in overdrive, ready to unravel the final threads of this deadly mystery. The group gathers for breakfast, their faces pale, their eyes avoiding each other like guilty shadows. Lennox Boynton, the eldest stepson, slumps over his plate, his hands trembling. Haunted by years under his stepmother's iron grip, Nadine, his wife, sits apart, her bracelet twisting in her fingers, her face drawn after questions about her button and digitoxin vial. Raymond, the younger son, clings to Sarah King, the bold doctor. Their hands locked together, their alibi strained after Raymond's attempt to grab the decoy vial. Carol, the daughter, grips her sketchbook, her eyes red from crying after being caught with the fake note. Ginevra, the youngest, hums her eerie tune, her dreamy smile unnerving everyone. Jefferson Cope, the American lawyer, tries to smile, but his nervous twitch betrays him. Dr. Theodore Gerard, the psychologist, scribbles in his notebook, his calm facade like a mask hiding a storm. Poirot knows Mrs. Boynton's her family with money and fear sparked this murder, but the outsider's motives are murky, and Carol's panic last night suggests the killer is close to cracking. Poirot begins by confronting Carol privately, finding her near the cliffs, her sketchbook clutched like a shield. "Mademoiselle," he says gently, "you took the fake note, fearing it accused you." "Why?" Carol's eyes well up, her voice shaking. "I thought someone planted that blouse to frame me. I didn't kill her." Poirot shows her the torn blouse, its pearl button matching the one from the crime scene. "This was in your tent," he says. Carol sobs. "I tore it days ago, wasn't near her chair." Her small frame fits the footprint, and her rage-filled drawings a figure where the syringe suggests deep anger, but her fear feels genuine. "Did you see anyone near her?" Poirot asks. Carol shakes her head, but her eyes flicker, hinting at a secret. Poirot suspects she's protecting someone or hiding her own guilt. Next, Poirot approaches Sarah and Raymond together, finding them whispering near the ruins. "Monsieur Raymond, Mademoiselle Sarah," he says, "your alibis are tight, but the torn page with control is in your handwriting, mademoiselle." "Why?" Sarah's face hardens. "I wrote it about Mrs. Boynton's grip on Raymond. I tore it up." Raymond nods, his voice shaky. "I found it and kept it to protect her." Poirot shows the syringe case from Raymond's tent. "This smells of digitoxin," he says. Raymond pales. "I don't know how it got there." Sarah snaps, "Someone's framing us." Their love is clear, but Poirot wonders if they acted together. Using Sarah's medical knowledge and Raymond's desperation, "Did you see her chair?" he presses. They insist they were in the ruins, but their nervous glances raise doubts. Poirot moves to Nadine, finding her by the spring, her face tense. "Madame," he says, "your button, your footprint, your digitosin vial all point to you. Did you act to free Lennox?" Nadine's hands shake, her voice low. "I told you, someone stole my button and vial. I wasn't near her." Poirot shows the hidden letter she wrote, begging Lennox to leave. "You planned to escape," he says. Nadine nods, tears falling. "I wanted us free, but not like this." Her small feet match the footprint, and her desperation is raw. But Poirot senses she's shielding Lennox, or someone else did. "Lennox know?" he asks. Nadine's eyes flicker. "He hated her, but he's no killer." Poirot files away her fear, suspecting a shared motive. Ginevra, wandering the camp, is next. Mademoiselle Poirot says, catching her humming by a tent, "Your words about shadows and chains are curious." "What did you see?" Ginevra giggles, her voice eerie. "The queen fell, and the shadows moved," she says, her eyes distant. "I saw nothing but the cliffs know." Her madness unsettles Poirot, but he wonders if she witnessed something or played a part. He shifts to Jefferson Cope, whose nervous smile is gone. "Monsieur," Poirot says, "your letters to Carol speak of freedom. Did you act to win her?" Cope stammers, admitting he loved Carol but denying murder. "I just wanted her happy," he says, his hands twitching. Poirot notes his access to the family's secrets, wondering if love or greed drove him. Dr. Gerard, found sketching plants, is as cool as ever. Dr. Poirot says, "Your handwriting matches the control note, and you know, did you experiment?" Gerard's smile is faint. "I study minds, not murder," he says, but his calm feels like a wall. Poirot shows the notebook's diagram of digitoxin's effects. "Too precise," he says. Gerard shrugs. "Science, not crime." His coolness raises Poirot's suspicions, but no proof sticks. To push the killer, Poirot gathers the group at noon, the sun blazing. "Mies Amos," he says, holding up the syringe case. "This was in Monsieur Raymond's tent, but someone planted it. The killer is desperate, and their lies are crumbling." Sarah gasps, Nadine weeps, Raymond clenches his fists, Carol trembles, Ginevra hums, Cope sweats, and Gerard's eyes narrow. Poirot stages a bold move, announcing a reenactment of Mrs. Boynton's final moments at the crime scene. "We will recreate her death," he says, "and the killer will betray themselves." He places a dummy in her chair, asking each suspect to walk past, mimicking their alibi. Nadine hesitates, her steps matching the footprint. Sarah moves confidently, but her hand brushes the chair, mirroring the scratch. Raymond stumbles, his eyes on Sarah. Carol walks slowly, her hands shaking, Ginevra skips, erratically, humming. Cope hurries past, his face red, while Gerard's precise steps feel staged. As the reenactment ends, a shout rings out. Found clutching a small knife near the spring, her hands bloody from a cut. I fell, she cries, but Poirot's eyes narrow. Was she attacked, or is she hiding something? Poirot and Carberry rush to her, Sarah tending the wound. A minor cut, Sarah says, but Poirot finds a new clue nearby her. Torn cloth, smelling of digitoxin hidden in a bush. The killer's cloth, he murmurs, pocketing it. Ginevra mumbles about shadows with needles, her words chilling. Poirot searches her tent, finding a poem, The Queen's Blood Runs Cold. The cloth's weave matches Sarah's scarf, but Nadine's blouse is similar. He questions Ginevra. Did you see the killer? He asks. She giggles, the shadows. No, but they don't tell. Poirot suspects she saw something. The 7th day in Petra dawns with a scorching sun. Its relentless heat baking the rose-red cliffs, but the camp is gripped by a colder tension. As Hercule Poirot's traps have pushed the travellers to the edge of confession, Poirot, his linen suit still pristine despite the desert's dust, stands near the main tent, his little grey cells buzzing with the weight of his clues. The syringe, the delicate footprint, the scrap of paper with control. The pearl button, the empty vial, the torn page in Sarah's handwriting. The syringe case in Raymond's tent, Carol's torn blouse, the torn cloth smelling of digitoxin, and now a vial cap found in Sarah's pocket. The murder of Mrs. Boynton, poisoned with digitoxin, has turned the camp into a maze of lies. And Poirot's latest trap-catching, Sarah reaching for a fake letter, has the killer scrambling. Colonel Carberry, his face etched with urgency, joins Poirot, his voice low. You're closing in. Poirot. Sarah's panicked, Carol's crumbling, and Ginevra's attack feels like a warning. Who's the killer? Poirot's moustache twitches, his eyes gleaming with resolve. Mon ami, the killer, is caught in a web of their own betrayal. Today we expose the truth. The desert hums with secrets, and Poirot is ready to unravel the final deception. The group gathers for breakfast, their faces pale, their hands shaky, knowing the police from Ammon arrive tomorrow. Lennox Boynton, the eldest stepson, slumps over, his coffee, his eyes hollow from years under his stepmother's tyranny. Nadine, his wife, sits apart, her fingers twisting her bracelet, her face drawn after questions about her button and digitoxin vial. Raymond, the younger son, clings to Sarah King, the bold doctor, their hands locked, their alibi cracking after Sarah's attempt to grab the fake letter. Carol, the daughter, grips her sketchbook, her eyes red from crying over the planted blouse. Ginevra, the youngest, hums her eerie tune, her cut hand bandaged from yesterday's mysterious knife incident. Jefferson Cope, the American lawyer, forces a smile, but his nervous twitch betrays him. Dr. Theodore Gerard, the psychologist, scribbles in his notebook, his calm eyes like a predator's. Poirot knows Mrs. Boynton's control ruling her family. With fear and money sparked this murder, but the outsider's motives are shadowy, and Sarah's latest move suggests a deeper betrayal. Poirot begins by confronting Sarah privately, finding her near the ruins, her face tense. Mademoiselle, he says, holding up the vial cap, this was in your pocket, and your handwriting matches the control note. Why take the fake letter? Sarah's eyes blaze. I thought it accused Raymond, she snaps. Someone's framing us. I didn't kill her. Poirot shows the torn cloth, smelling of digitoxin. This matches your scarf, he says. Sarah gasps. I lost it days ago. Her passion is fierce, but her medical knowledge and the clue's note cap cloth point to her. You love Raymond, Poirot says. Would you kill for him? Sarah's voice softens. I'd protect him, but not with murder. Believes her fear, but wonders if she's shielding Raymond or someone else. Next, Poirot approaches Raymond, who's pacing by the cliffs, his face pale. Monsieur Poirot says, you hid the syringe case and Sarah's note. Are you protecting? Hurrah yourself. Raymond's hands tremble. I found them in my tent. Thought they'd blame her, he says. We were in the ruins, I swear. Poirot presses. Did you see anyone near Mrs. Boynton's chair? Raymond shakes his head, but his sweaty palms betray him. Poirot suspects their love is genuine, but their tight alibi feels like a shield. Could they have acted together, using Sarah's medical skills and Raymond's desperation? The syringe case and note keep them in the frame. Poirot moves to Carol, finding her sketching alone, her hands shaking. Mademoiselle, he says, your blouse matches the button, and you took the fake note. Are you hiding guilt? Carol sobs. Someone planted that blouse. I was sketching, not killing. Her drawing's a figure with a needle show rage, and her small frame fits the footprint. Did you see anyone near her? Poirot asks. Carol's eyes flicker. I saw a shadow, but I don't know who. Her fear feels real, but Poirot wonders if she's protecting someone. Perhaps Nadine or herself. He shows her the torn cloth. This was near Ginevra's attack, he says. Carol pales. That's not mine. Poirot suspects a setup, but her panic hints at deeper knowledge. Nadine is next, found by the spring, her face drawn. Madame Poirot says, your button, your footprint, your vial, your letter all point to you. Did you act? Nadine's voice cracks. I told you, someone stole my things. I wanted to leave, not kill. Poirot shows the hidden letter begging Lennox to escape. You planned to break free, he says. Nadine nods, tears falling. I hated her, but I didn't do it. Her small feet match the footprint, and her digitoxin vial is damning, but Poirot senses she's shielding someone, Lennox. Perhaps. Did he know your plans? Poirot asks. Nadine's eyes flicker. He suffered most he wouldn't kill. Poirot files away her loyalty, suspecting a shared motive. Ginevra, wondering. The camp is harder to read. Mademoiselle Poirot says, catching her humming, her bandaged hand stark against her pale skin. You were attacked with a knife. Who did it? Ginevra giggles, her voice eerie. The shadows moved, and the queen fell, she says. I saw a needle, but the cliffs keep secrets. Her cryptic words chill Poirot, and he wonders if she witnessed the murder or played a part. Her poem, The Queen's Blood Runs Cold, is too close to the crime. Did you see the killer? He asks. Ginevra smiles. The shadows know. Poirot suspects her madness hides truth. Thor cunning, Poirot shifts to Jefferson Cope, whose nervous smile is gone. Monsieur, he says, your letters to Carol speak of freedom. Did you act to win her? Cope stammers. I loved her, but I didn't kill. I just wanted her free. Poirot shows the torn cloth, similar to Cope's handkerchief. This was near Ginevra, he says. Cope pales. I lost it days ago. His love for Carol and access to the family's secrets make him a suspect, but his fear feels genuine. Dr. Gerard, found sketching plants, is cooler. Dr. Poirot says, your handwriting matches the control note, and you know, digitoxin, did you act? Gerard's smile is faint. I study, not kill, he says, but his notebook's diagram of deductions, effects, is damning. Poirot suspects his calm hides a calculating mind to push the killer. Poirot gathers the group at noon, the sun blazing overhead. Mes armes, he says, holding up the torn cloth and vial cap. These were left by the killer who attacked Ginevra to silence her. The police arrive tomorrow with evidence. The group reacts. Sarah glares, Nadine weeps, Raymond grips. Sarah's hand, Carol trembles, Ginevra. The 8th day in Petra dawns with a searing sun, its golden rays scorching the rose-red cliffs. But the camp is shrouded in a tense silence as Hercule Poirot edges closer to unmasking Mrs. Boynton's killer. Poirot, his linen suit pristine despite the desert's dust, stands near the main tent, his little grey cells buzzing with the web of clues he's gathered. The syringe, the delicate footprint, the scrap of paper with control, the pearl, button, the empty vial, the torn page in Sarah's handwriting, the syringe case in Raymond's tent, Carol's torn blouse, the torn cloth smelling of digitoxin, the vial cap in Sarah's pocket, Lennox's notebook with a plan to confront Mrs. Boynton, the receipt for digitoxin in Nadine's name, and the torn page with a syringe sketch found in Dr. Gerard's pocket. His trap sketching Carol reaching for a fake note, Sarah grabbing a fake letter, and Gerard snatching a decoy syringe have pushed the killer to the brink. Colonel Carberry, his face lined with anticipation, joins Poirot, his voice low and urgent. You're close. Poirot Gerard's slip with the syringe is huge, but Lennox's notebook is troubling. Who's it pointing to? Poirot's moustache twitches, his grey eyes gleaming with certainty. Mon ami, the killer is cornered, and one final clue will unmask them. Today we strike. The desert crackles with tension, and Poirot is ready to end this deadly game. The group gathers for breakfast, their faces pale, their hands trembling, knowing the police from Ammon will arrive today with a chemist to confirm the digitoxin. Lennox. Boynton, the eldest stepson, slumps over his coffee, his eyes hollow after the discovery of his notebook detailing a plan to confront his stepmother. Nadine, his wife, sits apart, her fingers twisting her bracelet, her face drawn from questions about her button and digitoxin receipt. Raymond, the younger son, clings to Sarah King, the bold doctor, their hands locked, their alibi fraying after Sarah's attempt to grab the fake letter. Carol, the daughter, grips her sketchbook, her eyes red from crying over the planted blouse. Ginevra, the youngest, hums her eerie tune, her bandaged hand a stark reminder of her mysterious knife attack. Jefferson Cope, the American lawyer, forces a weak smile, his nervous twitch betraying him. Dr. Theodore Gerard, the psychologist, scribbles in his notebook, his calm facade cracking after Poirot caught him with the decoy syringe. Poirot knows Mrs. Boynton's tyranny, controlling her family with fear and money, sparked this murder. But the outsider's motives, especially Gerard's, are coming into focus. Poirot begins by confronting Dr. Gerard privately, finding him near the ruins, his face tense. Doctor, he says, holding up the torn page with the syringe sketch, this was in your pocket, and your handwriting matches the control note. You reached for the decoy syringe. Why? Gerard's smile is strained, his voice wavering. I lost a syringe. It was a mistake. Poirot shows the notebook's digitoxin diagram, his voice sharp. You knew how to kill her, and your obsession with control mirrors hers. Did you act? Gerard's eyes narrow. I study minds, not murder. He snaps, but his trembling hands betray him. Poirot presses, You attacked Ginevra to silence her, Nan. Gerard denies it, but his cool facade cracks, and Poirot suspects a calculating mind behind the crime, using the family's pain as a twisted experiment. Next, Poirot approaches Sarah and Raymond, found whispering by the cliffs. Mademoiselle Monsieur, he says, the vial cap, the torn page, the syringe cassol point to you. Did you act for love? Sarah's face flushes with anger. We're being framed, she snaps. I wrote control about her. Tyranny, not murder. Raymond nods, his voice shaky. I hid the syringe case to protect her. Poirot shows the torn cloth, matching Sarah's scarf. This was near Ginevra's attack, he says. Sarah gasps. I lost it days ago. Their love is genuine, but Poirot wonders if they used Sarah's medical knowledge to kill, or if someone planted the clues. Did you see anyone near her chair? He asks. They insist they were in the ruins, but their nervous glances raise doubts. Poirot moves to Carol, sketching alone, her hands trembling. Mademoiselle, he says, your blouse matches the button, and you took the fake note. Are you hiding guilt? Carol sobs. Someone planted it. I was sketching, not killing. Her drawing's a figure with a needle show rage, and her small frame fits the footprint. Did you see the shadow you mentioned? Poirot asks. Carol's eyes flicker. It was vague, a figure near her chair, moving fast. Her fear feels real, but Poirot suspects she's shielding someone, perhaps Nadine. He shows the torn cloth. This was near Ginevra, he says. Carol pales, not mine. Poirot wonders if her panic hides knowledge or guilt. Nadine is next. By the spring, her face drawn. Madame Poirot says, your button, your footprint, your digitoxin receipt, your letter all point to you. Did you act? Nadine's voice cracks. Someone stole my things. I wanted to leave, not kill. Poirot shows the receipt. You bought digitoxin, he says. Nadine sobs, for my heart, not murder. Her loyalty to Lennox is clear, but the notebook's plan suggests a shared motive. Did Lennox act? Poirot asks. Nadine's eyes widen. He wouldn't. He suffered too much. Poirot senses she's protecting him, but the clues keep her in the frame. Ginevra wondering. The camp is harder to read. Mademoiselle, Poirot says, catching her humming, her bandaged hand stark. You saw a needle and shadows. Who attacked you? Ginevra giggles. The cliffs keep secrets, but the Queen's blood ran cold. Her poem, The Queen's. Blood runs cold, chills Poirot, and he wonders if she witnessed the murder. Did you see the killer? He asks. Ginevra smiles. The shadows know. Her madness feels like a mask, and Poirot suspects she saw something crucial. Jefferson Cope, his smile gone, is next. Monsieur Poirot says, your letters to Carol and lost handkerchief point to you. Did you act? Cope stammers. I loved her, not murder. His fear feels genuine, but his access to the family's secrets keeps him suspect to push the killer. Poirot gathers the group at noon, the sun blazing, the police hours away. Mise amis, he says. The killer planted clues to frame others, but one final clue betrays them. He reveals a new discovery, a tiny drop of ink on the syringe, matching the pen in Gerard's notebook. This ink ties you to the murder, Dr. Poirot says, holding up the syringe. Gerard's face hardens. Coincidence, he snaps, but his voice shakes. Poirot explains. The footprint was Nadine's, stolen by Gerard. The button was taken. From her blouse, the torn cloth came from Sarah's scarf. and the vial cap was planted. The control note was meant to frame Sarah, but the syringe sketch in Gerard's pocket and the ink. The final day in Petra dawns with a golden sunrise, its warm light softening the harsh rose-red cliffs, but the camp feels lighter, as if the desert itself exhales, now that Hercule Poirot has unmasked Dr. Theodore Gerard as Mrs. Boynton's killer. Poirot, his linen suit still immaculate despite the dust, stands by the main tent. His little grey cells at peace after weaving together the clues, the syringe, the delicate footprint, the scrap of paper with control, the pearl button, the empty vial, the torn page in Sarah's handwriting, the syringe case in Raymond's tent, Carol's torn blouse, the torn cloth smelling of digitoxin, the vial cap in Sarah's pocket, Lennox's notebook with a plan, the receipt for digitoxin in Nadine's name, and Gerard's torn page with a syringe sketch. The police from Ammon have arrived, their presence a stark reminder that justice is near. Colonel Carberry, his face beaming with relief, shakes Poirot's hand, his voice hearty. "You've done it, Poirot. Gerard's confession seals it. How did you know?" Poirot's moustache twitches, his grey eyes twinkling. "Mon ami, the little grey cells see through lies. Today we tie up the case and bring peace to this troubled camp. The desert holds no more secrets, and Poirot is ready to close this chapter." The group gathers one last time in the main tent, their faces a mix of relief and exhaustion, the weight of Mrs. Boynton's tyranny lifted by Poirot's triumph. Lennox, Boynton, the eldest stepson, sits with Nadine, their hands touching for the first time in days, a spark of hope in their eyes. Raymond, the younger son, holds Sarah King's hand, the bold doctor's face soft with gratitude. Carol, the daughter, clutches her sketchbook, her drawings now lighter, free of rage. Ginevra, the youngest, hums softly, her bandaged hand a reminder of her brush with danger. But her smile is clearer, her madness seeming to fade. Jefferson Cope, the American lawyer, manages a genuine smile, his nervous twitch gone. Dr. Gerard, now in handcuffs, sits apart, his calm facade shattered, his eyes cold but defeated. Poirot knows the family's pain years under Mrs. Boynton's control drove this crime. But Gerard's twisted motives turned pain into murder, and now justice awaits. Poirot steps forward, his voice ringing with authority. "Mies, Amos," he says, "Mrs. Boynton's murder was a crime of cold calculation, woven by a mind that craved control as much as she did. Dr. Gerard, you killed her with digitoxin, planting clues to frame others." He holds up the syringe, the vial, and the torn page with the syringe sketch. "You used Nadine's button, Sarah's scarf, Carol's blouse, each a lie to point away from you." Gerard's eyes narrow, but he remains silent. Poirot explains. Gerard, obsessed with studying human behavior, saw Mrs. Boynton's sadistic control as a perfect experiment. "You poisoned her to watch the family break free," Poirot says, "and attacked Ginevra when she saw you near the chair." Ginevra nods, her voice soft. "I saw the needle in the shadows." The group gasps, and Nadine sobs with relief. Her name cleared. Poirot recounts the clues, piecing together the crime like a puzzle. The syringe held digitoxin, confirmed by the Ammon chemist, he says. The footprint was Nadine's, but planted by Gerard, who stole her button and vial. The control note was in Sarah's handwriting, but Gerard tore it from her notebook to frame her. The torn cloth matched Sarah's scarf, stolen by Gerard, and the vial cap was planted in her pocket. Carol's blouse was another decoy, and Lennox's notebook, tailing a plan to confront Mrs. Boynton, was used to cast suspicion. You are clever, Dr. Poirot says, but the torn page in your pocket with your syringe sketch betrayed you. Gerard's confession, spurred by Ginevra's testimony and the overwhelming evidence, seals his fate. I wanted to see them free, Gerard mutters, to study their minds. The group shudders at his coldness. Poirot turns to the family, his voice softening. You suffered under her tyranny, he says. Lennox, Nadine, Raymond, Carol, Ginevra are free now. Lennox embraces Nadine, vowing to rebuild their lives. We'll start over, he says, his voice strong for the first time. Raymond and Sarah, their love unshaken, plan a future together. She can't hurt us anymore, Raymond says, squeezing Sarah's hand. Carol, her sketches now of Petra's beauty, thanks Poirot with tears in her eyes. You gave us our lives back, she whispers. Ginevra, her mind clearer, smiles softly. The Queen is gone, she says, and Poirot nods, touched by her resilience. Even Cope, his affection for Carol genuine, offers to help the family move forward. I'll handle their legal matters, he says, his voice steady. Poirot reflects on the motive, sharing it with Carberry as they walk to the crime scene one last time. Gerard mirrored Mrs. Boynton's control, he says. She ruled with fear, he with manipulation, using the desert's isolation to test his theories. The clue syringe button, vial, cloth were his tools to mislead. But Ginevra's testimony and the torn page unmasked him. He underestimated the human spirit, Poirot tells Carberry, and the power of observation. The police confirm. The evidence, the syringes, digitoxin, the note's ink, the vial's residue, and Ginevra's account seal Gerard's guilt. He'll face trial in Ammon, his twisted experiment over. The camp feels lighter, the travellers packing to leave, their hearts lifted by freedom. Poirot addresses the group one last time, the cliffs glowing behind him. Mise Amos, he says, justice has been served, but the truth heals. You are prisoners of Mrs. Boynton's cruelty, but now you are free to live. The group nods, their faces soft with gratitude. Nadine thanks Poirot, her voice steady. You saved us, she says. Sarah and Raymond echo her, their eyes bright. Carol hands Poirot a sketch of Petra's cliffs, a gift of thanks. Her humming softer, offers a shy smile. The shadows are quiet now, she says. Cope shakes Poirot's hand, promising to support the family. Carberry raises a glass of water in a toast. To Hercule Poirot, the desert's greatest detective. The group cheers, and Poirot bows, his eyes twinkling. To Truth, Mise, Amos, and the little grey cells. As the group disperses, Poirot walks to the camp's edge, the cliffs fading into the horizon.